everybody, I'm Christina Mascari and I'm a furniture flipper, and in today's video I'm going to be doing an IKEA hack. I have the very popular, very affordable Rast nightstand and I'm going to be giving it a high-end look, and my inspiration is a Arhaus piece. I think this is going to be really fun, so if you want to see this makeover, just keep watching. This is my inspiration piece that I'm working off today. I love the fluted look and the really cool marble top. So I'm gonna be doing an epoxy top on here that's gonna look just like marble. First time doing that. This was really easy to put together. I think this is the easiest IKEA piece that I've ever put together. This is the Rast. Unfortunately, it has no bottom, so I have nothing to attach these feet to. So I'm gonna cut some boards to size so I can put them in here and then attach the feet. I bought a piece of MDF for the tabletop that I'm gonna turn into a faux marble look, and luckily it is long enough that I can cut a piece to fit on the bottom as well to screw the feet in. So I've marked my cut and I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. Okay, it's in. I have a nice secure surface that I can add my feet to. This is not the prettiest way to do this, but I'm fluting this whole thing, so all of this is gonna get covered up anyway, so I'm just doing it the easy way. I got these feet on Amazon. They're only 4 inches high, so I'm just placing them in each corner of the board to make it even, drilling some pilot holes, and then screwing these to the board. Long hardware holes that match my inspiration piece. Unfortunately, they don't fit the holes that are on here, so I'm gonna fill this before I start staining this. This is in pretty good shape to stain, but it does have a little bit of areas that are really rough, so I'm just gonna take a fine sandpaper and smooth everything out before I start staining. Okay, I'm ready to stain. I'm gonna be using a water-based stain in a really, really dark brown color to mimic my inspiration piece. This is water-based, so it's gonna have really easy cleanup. It's not flammable, and I think you get more even coverage because it's more like putting a paint on versus a stain. So I'm just gonna use a little applicator pad and put this on. I want this pretty dark, so I'm not really gonna wipe anything back. If you had stuff that was really pooling, you just wanna take a clean lint-free cloth like this, and I'm just gonna wipe it over the surface, and then that's gonna just take up any excess. But with a water-based stain like this, there really shouldn't be a lot of excess. Another benefit of using this water-based stain, it is going to dry a lot quicker than an oil-based one. So I'm going to be able to do my fluting and work on this way faster than if I used an oil-based stain. And this one also has a protectant built into it, so I'm not going to have to top coat afterwards. While my stain dries, let's take a quick break to hear from today's sponsor. I couldn't have a more perfect sponsor for today's video because we are trying to get a sparkly white marble top for this piece of furniture. And I want to share with you how I get my sparkling white teeth with my favorite whitening strips, Lumino. I have been using these for months now and I swear by them. You guys, I could never use whitening strips before because I have really sensitive teeth, but Lumino is sensitivity free. It's safe for your enamel because it has natural ingredients. You don't have harsh bleaches, no peroxide in here. It's coconut oil, lemon peel. They're really easy to use. You just put them on for 30 minutes for 7 days in a row, and that is gonna give you beautiful white teeth. I couldn't be happier with these results. And whenever I have a special event or I just need a little refresh, I can pop some strips on. I can do the toothpaste, the mouthwash. They even have a whitening pen that will repel stains if you wanna use that before you drink coffee or eat like spaghetti, red sauce, anything like that. If you wanna try Lumino out, I have a discount for you. Just head down to my description box and click my link down there. Thank you to Lumino for sponsoring today's video, and now back to the action. Okay, I love the way the stain is looking. Now we're gonna get a little bit more technical and I'm gonna flute all the way around this piece. And so I picked up these wooden dowels to do this. So I've marked off how much I need to cut. I'm gonna start with the sides because that's gonna be the easiest. I know I'm gonna need a lot of these on both sides. So the easiest thing to do is set up my saw so I can make those cuts just boom, 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 and they're gonna go really quickly. I got these dowels at Home Depot. They were $1.76 a piece, and I ended up having to buy 60 of them to cover the entire dresser. If I would have thought ahead beforehand, I think I could definitely find these in bulk for cheaper online, so just keep that in mind. After I got all my pieces cut, the very tedious part came in where I had to sand each side. These are pretty good, but they are still a little rough in spots, and they each had a sticker on them, which was really annoying. So I had to make sure all of that stickiness was sanded away, and then I'm individually going to stain each of these. The method that I came up with to stain these faster was to stack about 8 of them together, stain that whole side, and then I would flip them on the next side, and I stained them on all 4 sides just because I wasn't sure which way I was going to nail them on, and that way you don't have any wood showing through. Everything is the same color. Definitely a lot of work, but definitely worth it. And since I used that water-based stain, these dried really quickly, so I was able to start attaching them to the dresser. Okay, now that I got a few going, this looks really great. So I'm just using one of the dowels in between to get that perfect spacing. And then I'm using my Ryobi 18 gauge brad nailer, and I have the smallest brad nailer you can use. So you just wanna make sure that it's gonna go through your dowel as well as go through the hard surface that you're going into. And I'm sinking the nails a little bit so I'll be able to put wood filler on top of here and make it look really smooth and seamless. I'm just putting a nail at the bottom, in the middle, and then the top of each of these long sections. I tried my best to figure out my math and really center these on the drawer so that I would have even spacing across. That's not really how it worked out, so I definitely would need to spend more time on my math next time. So I just decided to start with one dowel in the middle and center that and make sure it was level so that they were going to be level all the way across. Okay, I'm still working on my fluting here, but I'm gonna start on my epoxy countertop that I'm gonna place on top of here. And unfortunately, when I cut my MDF, I forgot to allow these extra 3/8 of an inch on each side for the fluting. So my piece is too small. So I'm remeasuring and I'm gonna cut a new piece of MDF, and then we're gonna start doing the epoxy. Okay, I'm really excited. I'm also nervous. This is my first time using epoxy. I'm gonna be using the Total Boat marbling kit today, so it has everything I need to get that marble look on top of my MDF that I just cut. You can put this on top of tons of things. You can do wood, you can do Formica, you can do laminate. So any type of countertop that you have, you can basically put this on top of it. I'm gonna start by doing a seal coat. So that's gonna seal this and make it waterproof and just get a good base before we start adding the marbling. So let's go ahead and start mixing. Okay, so there is an equation to get how much epoxy you need. You need to multiply the length of your surface, the width times your surface, and then for the seal coat, it's 1/16 That's the amount of depth we want. So when you multiply that, you're gonna get your cubic inches. I know it sounds confusing, but it's all written down on the handy sheet that comes with this kit. So I figured I needed 10 fluid ounces of epoxy for my first coat. So I did 5 ounces of the hardener, 5 ounces of the resin, and then I'm gonna stir this for 2 to 3 minutes, scraping everything off the sides and the bottom. And then I'm gonna transfer this to another cup and stir it for another 3 minutes. Okay, now I'm gonna add some of this white pigment. That's gonna give it the marble look for our base. And you're just gonna add this a little bit, a little drop at a time until it completely goes throughout the whole epoxy mixture you just made. Once my epoxy was fully mixed, I just placed it on the board in a S shape, and then I used this plastic spreader to spread it out evenly across the top. This epoxy has a really long open time, so you have plenty of time to spread it out, and any strokes that you make in it disappear because this self-levels. Any excess is just going to run off the sides. This first coat is a seal coat. It's going to seal whatever you're applying the epoxy to and make it waterproof. It needs to get tacky, and that'll take about 4 to 6 hours before I can add my second coat and start with my marbling. So while that's drying, I'm gonna hop back over and finish the fluting on my dresser. When I first picked out this inspiration piece to do from Arhaus, I really like the buffet, and I would love to tackle a huge buffet with a huge tabletop one day. But I knew, since this is my first time doing epoxy and my first time fluting an entire dresser like this, that I should start small with this Rast piece and just really get those techniques down before I invest so much time and money into a bigger piece. Okay, so I need to fill all these little tiny holes that I have made with my brad nails. I want to save myself a little time, and I'm going to mix in a little bit of my stain with the wood filler, and hopefully I won't have to do that many touch-ups after this dries. Since these holes are really, really tiny, I don't need to let this dry and sand it back. That is gonna take way too long, and it's gonna take a lot of my finish off. So I'm just wetting a rag just a little bit, and I'm removing that excess, and then I'm gonna let this dry fully. Once I was done with that process, I took some stain and did a second coat on all of the fluting. I also used an artist brush to stain the top of all the fluting, and I used that to do any little touch-ups that needed to be made on the dresser. I'm going to do my second coat now, and the second coat is where the marbling comes into effect. So for this coat, I need twice as much. So I made 10 ounces last time. I'm gonna make actually 24 ounces this time, because I also need to have a separate cup for my veining. Now, when you're gonna do veining, the kit comes with light gray and it comes with black gray, and you can kind of mix these two together and get some really dramatic veining. Since this is my first time, I'm just gonna go with light gray, and I'm just gonna do one color and see how that goes. I recommend starting small. That is why I'm doing a small project and a small tabletop. So I'm just gonna go ahead and mix everything up like I did last time and add my pigments. For my white layer this time, I'm gonna add a little bit of this silver pearl mica powder. It's gonna make it sparkle and be iridescent a little bit, so it mimics the look of marble. So I set some of this clear aside, and I'm gonna add the light gray mica powder for my marbling. This is the same process that I did on this first coat, so I'm just going to put this out in an S shape and spread it all around and make it smooth. Once you have this all coated in the white, you can grab your mixed colors, and this is where you start the veining. And this is very scary because there's just there's no direction here. You just make these in a natural way, the way that you want them to go. I tried to look at pictures of marble before I started so I could see kind of how they're, you don't want to go straight from side to side. You want to make them angled because in nature, that's how they're going to look. So once you get all those on, you can take a chip brush or even use your fingers that are in a glove and just kind of mush the colors together a little bit. This will create air pockets and stuff, but it will mix it up just enough so that then you can grab the air gun and blow those little heat bubbles away, and it will disperse your pigment and kind of feather it out and give it a more of a natural look and diffuse it a little bit. I played with this heat gun for 30 minutes. This is just like up to you how far you want to go, how far you want to spread it out. It is a creative process, so just trust it. I am back. I have let this dry overnight, and I'm really impressed with how this turned out. Granted, this is my first time, so I learned a lot. So I'm going to share with you what I learned. Number one, I should have primed the sides with some type of white paint, not for bonding or anything like that, but it definitely runs off the sides more than it pulls on the top. So I have a lot of that brown of the MDF coming through, and I watched a lot of videos last night, and it's just a good idea to paint and seal a color just around the edges that's gonna match your finished project. It's just gonna help in the end. So lesson learned there. Other lesson I learned, I was trying to kind of fan and feather this out with my heat gun. I accidentally turned my heat setting up way too high. You definitely wanna have it on low, and I scorched this because I was too close and it was too hot. And there's kind of no way that you can fix that when you do that. So lesson learned there. And then I think the really cool thing about this is you can get a bunch of different looks with this. I could put less powder in here, make this a lot lighter. I could mix darker veining in here. I love the heat gun because it really spreads it out. It's just a really fun process to keep playing with it and working with it. And for my first epoxy job, I'm pretty impressed, and I'm really excited to play with it some more. So this is dry to the touch, but it's not gonna cure completely for 5 to 7 days. Once that happens, I can flip this over, and this is sandable. So I'm going to wait that amount of time to be able to sand these drips off. They need to cure completely before you can do that. And once everything is all cured, I'm gonna use this 4-minute epoxy, put it on each strip of my dresser, and I'll be able to apply it that way. But today we wanna see the final product and we wanna see what it looks like. So let's go ahead and just add this to the top. Okay, let's talk hardware. I originally wanted to do a really long pool like on my inspiration piece, but I can't get them to line up with the fluting just right, and I didn't want to drill into this. That scared me a little bit. So right now I'm thinking I'm gonna do these fingerless pools, but I'm not ready to commit. So I just have them in here right now, and I'm gonna live with them for a couple weeks while this cures, and then I'll make my decision after that. Just to remind you, this is the IKEA Rast nightstand that we started off with, and here is the after. Okay, this was a very tedious project, but it was really fun. I'm not completely finished with it yet, but now I have an idea of if I want to flute a bigger piece in the future, how that's gonna go. It is very labor intensive. It is expensive to do this fluting, but I think it's worth it. It turned out really gorgeous. I loved playing with the epoxy. I'm shocked at how well that turned out for my first time. I've learned lots of lessons for next time, and I can see tons of ways that I can use this on other projects. So sometimes working on a piece of furniture isn't about having the most awesome completed piece in the end. It's about pushing yourself. It's about learning new techniques, and I can definitely take some of these techniques and put them into new furniture. Thanks for coming along on this journey of this furniture makeover. I will be back with another project soon. Thanks for being here, you guys, and I will see you next time.